Don't say good morning this time.
How can we do that?
No, we always say good morning. Let's not say good morning this time.
Okay.
Okay? So
Ready?
clap again.
Happy Halloween.
What?
You said don't say good morning.
Happy Halloween.
Could be
Oh
Merry
my
Christmas.
gosh. Good morning.
Good morning.
Last night, Jim, I was thinking about doing the morning conversation, and I realized we didn't have any. I don't have anything more to talk about. We've talked about everything.
Everything.
We don't have topics anymore. We've talked. It's been years,
Help.
and we don't have any more topics.
Maybe we should just stop.
Maybe we should get a divorce.
Maybe we should go on vacation. Maybe we should do something rather than work all the time.
So that was last night. This morning,
I see.
however,
Okay.
you and I went for a walk around the property, and we met up with somebody here who has a bed and breakfast little inn
We
here.
did.
And we are happy, and we said, "Oh, how are you doing?" And he immediately went into, "My problem is, and this isn't working, and I don't have a full house," and we're listening and both smiling inside. And I said, "Well, you're making money." Well, he couldn't even hear that.
Right.
And then you said something, your helper has returned. Couldn't respond to, "Oh, I'm so glad that she's back."
So he's making money and he's got help, but my problem is.
My problem is.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that that's the place where most people start. So, "How are you doing today?" "Oh, my back hurts." Or like,
Yeah. It's kind of common, but maybe we should just talk about that, because right now, with all these changes that are happening, one of the big picture items that we're going to start talking about more and more is pay attention to the big picture, not the little noisy things that go on in life. But you and I both have countered this. When we try to engage with people, one of the things that happens is nobody ever asks us, "How are you? What are you doing? What's your life like?" It really is always us saying, "Nice to see you. How are you doing?" And inevitably, it's your turn.
inevitably it's something negative.
My problem is.
My problem is.
Yeah. So if you might start to pay attention to this, not in yourself because you're all advanced and you don't do this kind of stuff. My problem is you're way past all that, but you know somebody. Well, maybe we're not all way past it, but the conversation that we are having is about no problem. My problem is.
My problem is, and how it's important for me to recognize that in somebody else. Oh, he did this thing this morning, and then as I'm walking away, I'm thinking, where do I do the same thing? Where does somebody say, "Oh, Roxanne, good to see you. What's up?" And I go into
My problem
is.
Yeah. So I just said a minute ago, this big picture. And this big picture is beginning to do a couple of things. It's these waves of light. It's forcing everything that is not who I am up to the surface.
Right.
And then on the other hand of it, it's providing lots of really amazing opportunities. But if you start your conversations from my problem is, which is actually very fundamentally designed into 3D, it's my problem is, and nothing's working. And if you really stop somebody and say, really, how bad is that? Which we have done. More often than not, it's just this little irritation in the moment that's conscious to them right now. And in the bigger picture, it's just a minor irritation.
Right.
But the habit that people have, we watch over and over, is my problem is, or how are you doing? I'm okay, my back hurts, or my cancer is, or I just did. How's your day? Oh, I guess it's okay. And I guess it's okay, they've never looked. And we just did a morning conversation, I think last week, about how do you set your intention.
Right.
And most people don't, and most people, as we observe, especially here, this is a very 3D place that we're having experiences in, and my problem is.
Another aspect of my problem is I've watched people talk to each other about their problem. And one will say, "Oh, my knees really hurt." And the other one will say, oh, I had knee surgery. Oh, and then the first one says, oh, I haven't had knee surgery yet.
Yeah.
And so what they're doing is they're matching each other's pain.
Yeah.
And the one who doesn't have knee surgery, and maybe it's just a sprained knee, is now matching the person who had the knee surgery. And so what's going to happen?
Yeah, so you begin to get in the conversation. And if you notice how conversations go, one of the things that people do pretty consistently is, oh, I just had knee surgery. Oh, I had knee surgery too. Mine was bigger than yours. And so we get into this space of having to add to a conversation that starts from my problem is.
But isn't that the way people bond?
Yes, it is. But isn't that what we're talking about right here? Which part of the picture do you want to bond in? All the stuff that's coming to the surface that doesn't belong to you, that's evaporating, disappearing, or the one that says, wow, it was a great day today. You know, so far I think we've talked to 5 or 6 people, and nobody has said, wow, isn't this a great day?
Right.
You know, and so you know, here we are sitting in Belize, and it's perfect weather, and we're on a bay, and it's my problem is.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, my knee. Oh, my in my.
Yeah. So I think the moral of this conversation is it's really something to begin to pay attention to. So how many times do you lead with my problem is, or, oh, this isn't working, or something's really wrong, or I had really a lousy day. Well, did you really have a lousy day, or did your, light switch break?
But you know what? If someone says, how are you doing? How was your day? And the other person says, I had a great day. I got to go water skiing and snorkeling, and the sun is beautiful. And they go, and I made lots of money. And they go on and on about how successful and fun they're having. Maybe there's no in for that other person to bond.
Yeah.
They can bond in pain, but bond in, oh, what a successful day I had today.
And we've done that too. We've intentionally started from a very positive thing, maybe not as over the top as you just did, but it's like, yeah, it's really working. We're having a really good time, and I watch people don't know what to say.
Right.
And so
that's my
saying.
point.
So let me go back to this big picture again. This big picture is happening to each one of us, and as we begin to move more into this bigger picture with a lot of these light patterns that many of you are starting to hear us talk about, what's happening is you're changing. You have room to choose in new manners, and the question is, how do you choose? And if you begin to look at the bigger picture where this is all going, particularly in that aspect where we're really beginning to have these 2 stratas of consciousness segmenting, they're beginning to divide from one another. One is very much, ain't it awful, my problem is in the world, and I got to get mine. And the other part is, if you hold that bigger picture of, wow, it's really a great day. I'm really going to enjoy myself, and I'm happy, certain, capable, whatever the words are. I think you're going to begin to have a greater day.
That's the law of attraction.
Well, and it's being amplified.
Yeah.
Right now, it's all being amplified. You have a choice. Do you stay in this strata of uncomfortableness, defending and working from lack, or the strata that says, I'm happy and I'm going to look out the door and see what else is possible.
He didn't even know he had a choice.
No, he did not, the man today.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because he's saying, well, half the people canceled, and then you said, well, did you have a deposit? He said, oh, they're really gouging the people, and the deposit was 50%. And you didn't give the deposit back? Oh, no, of course not. So wait, you have people that aren't in your rooms, making your rooms have to be attended to, and you just made 50% on a week's, so kind of a good deal.
And it doesn't have to do as much work, doesn't have to change the beds, doesn't have to clean up after them.
Right. So it's interesting, and I think we're amplifying this between you and me in terms of just making the points.
Yeah.
The issue really is me. How do I engage with my day? How do I engage with what's standing in front of me? How do I engage on terms of 1 and 1 is 3? How do I take it to a higher road? How do I choose that I hear you're having a bad day, and is it possible to look another way? And if they can't hear anything like that, just say, well, I hope you have a nice day. Walk away. It's not your problem.
Yeah.
So,
It's about self-awareness, watching what other people do and then asking yourself, do I do that?
Yeah.
Where do I do that?
yeah, and in the same context, a lot of this is you're becoming conscious of being unconscious. All that unconsciousness that we're talking about is other people being unconscious. Where do you do that? And it's starting to come up in your own space, and if you can just allow it to leave and begin to say, well, thank you, I hear you're having a bad day, I'm off to having a wonderful day. And not put it in their face, that's
Right.
not my point, but how do you internalize it yourself? And I think that's going to become more and more rewarded in these coming times.
More and more important.
Important. And in that place, I'm okay, there's an opportunity to say to the person my problem is, and legitimately assist them. It's not going to be that way all times because they can't hear many of the times, but from the place of well-being, the opportunity to provide assistance is going to become available to each of us.
Good.
So that was a pretty good conversation for not having anything to do. What are we going to do tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm out of ideas.
Okay, we may not see you tomorrow, or
Next week.
actually, never.
Let's go soak in the sea.
Alrighty. Have a nice day.